Could I have everyone rise for the presentation of the colors, please? Please join me in the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Thank you. Please be seated. My name is Lisa Papa. I am the chair of the Poudre Fire Authority. I'm also a city council member here in Fort Collins, and it's my honor to welcome you all here this afternoon to the appointment and oath of office of Tom DeMint, Fire Chief for the Poudre Fire Authority. Now, at this point, I was told that I could tell a joke, and anybody who knows me knows I can't tell a joke to save my life. So I talked to a friend of mine and I said, so, you know, these are the jokes that they want me to tell, and one was about golf, and everybody knows I can't play golf. So I said, you know, can you think of any jokes? And she says, I know one. I said, okay. She said, how many firefighters does it take to screw in a light bulb? And I said, oh, 10, I don't know, how many? She goes, it doesn't matter, they're firefighters. So that's my only joke. It really wasn't even mine, so. Now would be probably a really good time to move on to the dignitaries that I'd like to welcome after my moment of indignity. First of all, I'd like to welcome Mayor of Fort Collins, Karen Wykenot. If you could stand when I say your name, please. Thank you. Councilmember Ben Manville. Ed Rupert, board member of the Poudre Valley Fire Protection District. Chief Mulligan, former chief of the Poudre Fire Authority. Chief Warren Jones, fire chief of Evans. Chief John Hutto, who is the Fort Collins Police Chief, newly minted. Chief Yonker, who is the former Fort Collins Fire Chief. And representing the Larimer County Sheriff's Department, Under Sheriff Bill Nelson. Representing CSU Police Department, the Lieutenant Chris Wolf. And last but certainly not least, Chief Randy Murawski from the Loveland Fire Department. So again, thank you for being here. This is a great turnout, and I'm sure that Chief DeMint is delighted to see all of you. On behalf of the Poudre Fire Authority Board and the Fort Collins City Council, it is my honor to be here. I've had the opportunity to serve on the PFA board twice since 2007, and through our work together, I've had the privilege to get to know Tom, both professionally and personally, and I am delighted that he's our new chief. Over the past year, Tom has served as the interim chief. During his interim period, he led the organization through two of the most destructive fires in Fort Collins history. Without question, he is the best person to lead this organization going forward. The board received resumes from more than 70 highly skilled, very qualified applicants. Through the extensive interview process, Tom emerged as the clear choice. His selection was a unanimous decision by the board. Now here's where I insert, right after we were done doing our interviews, we walked into, everybody left the room and we went into an executive session. I'm not going to reveal anything about the executive session, but I will say this. The very first thing out of one board member's mouth, and I'm not going to name any names, but there are only 5 of us and it wasn't me. He looked very stern and he said, "We can't hire Tom." And we're all kind of like, "What?" And he says, "The dude fell off a ladder. We cannot have a chief who falls off a ladder." Sorry, Tom. Yeah, well, that aside, it was a unanimous decision by the board to extend an offer to Tom. His dedication to the organization, his commitment to innovation and improvement, and his sincere desire to serve our community all confirmed for us that Tom was the right person for the job. And hopefully you feel the same way. Pretty sure you do, otherwise you wouldn't be here. Tom has been with PFA for 23 years. That's a really long time. Okay. And his dedication to teamwork, commitment to excellence, and drive to improve the organization by listening to the ideas, concerns, and suggestions of his fellow firefighters have all served to create the outstanding leader that he is today. Tom values the important relationship and collaboration between the Poudre Fire Authority and the Poudre Valley Fire Protection District, as well as the City of Fort Collins Police Services, Colorado State University, and he will continue to nurture those strong partnerships that were created by his predecessors. We, the members of the Poudre Fire Authority Board of Directors, are confident that Tom is the right person to lead the Poudre Fire Authority into the future, and we would like to congratulate and thank you, Tom DeMint. Plus, he's really cool. So right now, I'd like to introduce PFA board member and a friend of mine, Mike Tutulio, who would like to speak on behalf of the Poudre Valley Fire Protection District. So if you could come up here, Mike, that'd be great.
Thank you, Lisa.
You're welcome.
Thank you. Congratulations, Tom. It's been a long time coming. I guess I had the opportunity to work with the fire department since 1970 when I arrived in Fort Collins and started working for the city of Fort Collins. I had a great chance to work with our great chief, Ed Yonker, as we started into the 70s. I had the opportunity to be part of the hiring process that brought John Mulligan to our organization. If you remember that, John, had to work hard to get you here, but we're glad, and that started a legacy that promoted Fort Collins, Colorado, and the fire service to heights of national recognition. And I'm very fortunate to have the opportunity to continue with that legacy and bringing Tom DeMint to the head of the PFA. There was never any doubt in my mind that Tom was the man that we needed to take forward into the new century and bring the luster and glow back to PFA. I think the region and city of Fort Collins and Poudre Valley Fire Protection District is fortunate that we were able to select from our ranks the caliber of a man Tom represents. And I'm just delighted and excited that he's going to be our man, and he will continue with the tradition that makes the Poudre Fire Authority one of the best in the nation. So congratulations, Tom. Look forward to working with you in the future. Thank you.
So I'm going to give you clues throughout the afternoon about who that person was that commented about the ladder. It wasn't Mike. So now we're down to 3. So our next speaker is Captain Ron Sims, who's president of the Poudre Firefighters Local 1945, who will speak on behalf of the PFA firefighters.
Good afternoon, everybody. Chief DeMint, on behalf of the 143 members of Local 1945, we'd like to say congratulations. Also, on behalf of those members, we'd like to thank the Poudre Fire Authority Board and the District Board, and for all of you community members and dignitaries that helped in the process of hiring our new chief. It was a very important selection, and we are delighted that Tom was hired. We look forward, Chief, to continuing the legacy that Chief Mulligan started with Local 1945 and having a collaborative relationship and working always towards the greater good, striving for excellence, and really continuing our tradition of providing great service in this community. And really this job, it is about service. We are here to serve. And as long as we always keep that in mind, both of us, Chief, we'll be in good places. We know we will. Thank you.
Thanks, Ron. It is now my great pleasure to introduce the following people who will be presenting Tom with his new badge and collar brass as the Fire Chief for Poudre Fire Authority. Retired Fire Chief Ed Yonker, who served as Chief of the Fort Collins Fire Department from 1965 to 1976. You guys could come on up here. Retired Fire Chief John Mulligan, who holds the honor of being the first Chief of Poudre Fire Authority and served in that position for 33 years, from 1978 to 2011. And a truly remarkable human being, Kathy DeMint, Tom's wife. And Kathy will be joined by Mandy and Dustin. The oath of office will be delivered by City Clerk Wanda Krychek. So if Wanda, you could come up here.
Yeah. Tom, you want to come up so we can? Okay, if you'd raise your right hand, please. I, and then state your name,
I, Tom DeMint,
do solemnly swear
do solemnly swear
that I will faithfully execute the duties of Chief of Poudre Fire Authority
that I will faithfully execute the duties of Chief of the Poudre Fire Authority
and will, to the best of my ability,
and will, to the best of my ability,
uphold the Constitution and laws of the United States
uphold the Constitution and laws of the United States
and the state of Colorado,
and the state of Colorado,
and the rules, regulations, policies, procedures,
and the rules, regulations, policies, and procedures,
and mission, vision, and values of the Poudre Fire Authority,
and mission, vision, and values of the Poudre Fire Authority,
and to faithfully perform my duties to the best of my ability.
and to faithfully perform my duties to the best of my ability.
I do also swear
I do also swear
that I will at all times
that I will at all times
perform my duties to, promote safety as the highest priority,
promote safety as the highest priority,
and that I will work to maintain my own physical and mental fitness,
that I will work to maintain my own mental and physical fitness,
both on and off the job.
both on and off the job.
Congratulations, Chief.
Thank you very much.
I don't know what you want to do with your new name, your new number. I don't have to put that on the helmet, do I?
It's out in the car.
Oh, okay. I just want to say how proud I am to be invited to participate in the badge pinning ceremony for Tom. Tom's been a great asset to the Poudre Fire Authority from the day we hired him, and he's always shown a great deal of passion and intelligence in performing his duties. And I expect great things of him because I know that he has that in him. And so at this point in time, I also want to say that Tom is very brave, because I've pinned badges on him 3 other times, and I'm always a little bit shaky when I do that. So I'd like to do that now, Tom, and give you this symbol of the authority of the chief's position.
Thank you.
And the responsibility of the chief's position.
Thank you.
Tom, congratulations. Why don't we
I'd
get
like to move right over here to the podium behind me. Okay. Go up here on the top one on the collar. Not the belt, on the collar. Yeah. Yeah.
That's a hard job.
Goes through that pretty easy. Doesn't have those collars.
I always drop those little things.
Just about did.
That's neat.
I just want to first say that I think that's a pretty historic occasion that we had three fire chiefs, Fort Collins, on a stage at one time, because it's pretty amazing. In the history of Fort Collins and combining the 2 fire departments, becoming the Poudre Fire Authority, I'm only the 8th chief. So to have 3 of those on stage at one time is pretty remarkable. When I look at the wall, ascending the stairs at admin, I always take pause going up and admire and honor the tradition and the pride that all the way back to Chief McGregor 100 years ago, and what Chief Treadwell brought to this department, and Chief Carpenter's sacrifice, saving lives, and gave the ultimate sacrifice. And Chief Yonker having to take over in those times of strife for this department, and Chief Fierce working through the interim at the end of Chief Yonker's career till Chief Mulligan can come here and build a legacy that is so surmountable. I mean, it's insurmountable sometimes when I look at it, the things that we want to accomplish and what the bar that Chief Mulligan set for us to strive for in the future. So, Chiefs, I know I have big shoes to fill, and thank you for doing the honor of putting the badge on my coat. Well, I want to acknowledge first, wow, what a crowd. Thank you all for coming, and I want to acknowledge friends and family. You got to meet some of them. My sister came from Oklahoma. My niece and her husband came from Texas. A very dear friend of mine, Brian Windsor, came from the Fire Department of New York. You may have heard it's a little department on the East Coast. And I got to know Brian through work on a firefighter safety program, and that's one of the things that I think is so special to have in our oath of office, is that we will maintain safety as a high priority. And other friends and guests that have come from all over, retired firefighters, current firefighters, community members, people that I've got to know, thank you so much for being here. As we move to the future, I'm very proud to work with a fire department that's made up of members that are dedicated to the mission and future of the PFA. It's a great privilege to stand shoulder to shoulder with some of the best firefighters in the United States to move this organization forward. And if you look around you and you see those men and women wearing the blue uniform of the Poudre Fire Authority, they're the ones that make this place work, and that's what Chief Mulligan's magic was. We've been told by experts that have evaluated us from the outside that our strength is in who we hire and how we hire people. And if you look at these men and women who provide this service, they're the ones that clearly make it happen. It's not the chief, and sorry, staff, it's not the staff. It's those that are going to Mrs. Smith's house every morning, noon, and night to provide emergency services that make that happen. And it's an honor to stand shoulder to shoulder with you all. As we move to the future, I see three elements today that I want to highlight, three elements that we must pursue. The first being tradition. The tradition of the fire service is long served. In fact, there are some that say tradition has hurt us. However, there are parts of tradition that we have to uphold that makes us strong, and it makes us who we are, and it gives us the pride and ownership to do those duties that we do, to make that sacrifice. From our tradition at the Poudre Fire Authority, our tradition exists in excellence. For a very long time, we can even go back to Chief Treadwell in the 1930s. This department has strived for excellence. Chief Treadwell not only brought, sorry guys, white fire engines, but he also brought a tradition of fire inspections, of fire safety education, and also a tradition of training. There's some crazy pictures out at our training center of guys hanging upside down from ropes and guys hanging off their arms, and Chief Treadwell's right there, pushing forward the training. And that's been something that this department has upheld ever since and will continue to do, because that helps us achieve excellence, and excellence is in the customer service we provide. The other thing that we have is innovation. This department has been innovative, and we must continue that. We must foster it, we must grow it. We also must foster and grow our pride and ownership in our department. We have a very fantastic honor guard. In fact, I've just been told this week, we had one piper today, but we've just got the Local 1945 is working with some other individuals that want to form a pipe band for the Poudre Fire Authority, and I'll be honored to participate, I don't mean in the band, but participate in developing that. The other thing we must hold up is our legacy. We must preserve the history of this fire department. And I say that after Chief Yonkers comes up here, because Chief Yonkers has been working so hard on getting a fire museum for this department. I will continue that work for you, Chief. My pledge. I mean, that's my try to get some commitment and oomph from the community too, is we need to get something started to get a fire museum, because Chief Yonkers has worked very hard to collect and store the history of this great organization. Innovation. The quote from Admiral Hyman Rickover says, "Good ideas are not adopted automatically. They must be driven into practice with courage and patience." I'm an innovator. I was hired because of my innovation. What my charge now is to take those ideas and work with these men and women and work as a collective, work as a team to put those ideas forward. And we have a lot of those ideas, and we will be demonstrating those to you over the next several years. The other thing that's important, the third element, is collaboration. This department was built on collaboration. An intergovernmental agreement was formed over 30 years ago to form the Poudre Fire Authority between the Poudre Valley Fire Protection District and the City of Fort Collins Fire Department. That IGA has proved day in and day out to be the most effective fire service that we can have for our community. It's two governmental entities working together through collaboration, and that sets the course for further collaboration. We have a great opportunity. We have a new police chief and a new fire chief that can work together to innovate, create new ideas. Along with that, we have a relatively new sheriff and a relatively new chief of police at Colorado State University. We can all work together in the realm of public safety as that is one of the key benchmarks for the city, is a safe community. And it's critical that we collaborate to work together. The opportunities abound as we even seek new partnerships for collaboration. So those are the three elements. I'm not going to talk for a long time. Most of you know me and know that I can talk for a very long time. And just all of a sudden it hit me going, I remember the last time I was up on this podium and y'all were sending questions up. But the Poudre Fire Authority has a long-standing, great history. It's a phenomenal history. This department is known as one of the best fire departments in the United States. We've reached that pinnacle before. I know we're a very good fire department. We're going to take this department from very good to great. We're going to take this department from being one of the best in the United States to the best fire department in the United States, and we're going to do it together. Now for a little change in the program, now that I have the accoutrements, and it's my first, not my first official act, but my first promotion. For a little added value, we're going to show you how we promote a battalion chief. Because of the vacancy that I left for the position for battalion chief was created, and through a series of interviews and processes, Captain Doug Lee was promoted to the position of battalion chief. So let me tell you a little bit about the position of battalion chief. A battalion chief in our department, of course, we just started a new South Battalion, and I've got to get the plug in here for 2B, because if it wasn't for 2B, we would not have the South Battalion, and what 2B has given us, we've already known, and you know we're a data-driven department, and we know that our response times, that our average response times in the South Battalion have dropped 4 minutes, but we also know that around 75th percentile run, the 75th percentile, our response times went from around, at 75% of the time, our battalion chief was arriving in 19 minutes. And now we know in that South Battalion, after 6 months of data collection, with the implementation of the South Battalion, our battalion chiefs are arriving 75% of the time in about 9 minutes. Wow. Thank you, Fort Collins. That's making this community safer. Much more to come as we dig deeper into that data and as we deploy more of those things that are so beneficial that we reap from 2B. But back to Doug. A battalion chief's job is to oversee a battalion. And in our department, that's 6 companies, 6 fire companies made up of a captain and 2 or 3 firefighters. They have an incredible workload. They make sure that their training, that the companies get their training done, that they respond to calls appropriately, and then when the calls come, they manage the call. They are the incident commander. They set out the command and control. It's a great deal of responsibility. They are the first level of staff. Life changes for you as a battalion chief. I look around and I see some fairly newly promoted battalion chiefs who will probably agree with me that life changes a bit when you get the white shirt and the gold badge. And Doug, that's coming here in just a few minutes. Life changes a lot of responsibility, a lot more nights when you can't sleep, and that's not because someone in the bunk next to you is snoring. It's because you're wondering. You're wondering what the next call could be. You're wondering about that personnel problem. There goes the next call now. You're wondering what that could be. And then you're also thinking, you stop and you think, if this is the big one, if this is the critical one, all those lives that are going to save lives are my responsibility. So battalion chief has a huge role. But here's my challenge to you, Doug. Great leaders, whether they lead entire organizations or groups within, leave a legacy that transcends them and cements their contribution to the growth and transformation of their organization. You now become part of that leadership. I know you can do it. I've seen you. I've watched you grow in this organization, and I'm proud to call you up to take the oath of office and to get your hardware. Doug. And for Doug's pinning will be his wife Wendy and their 3 girls.
Are we ready? Okay, raise your right hand, please. I, and then state your name,
I, Doug Lee,
do solemnly swear
do solemnly swear
that I will faithfully execute the duties of Battalion Chief of Poudre Fire Authority
I will faithfully execute the duties of Battalion Chief for Poudre Fire Authority
and will, to the best of my ability,
and will, to the best of my ability,
uphold the Constitution and laws of the United States
uphold the Constitution and the laws of the United States
and the state of Colorado,
and the state of Colorado,
and the rules, regulations, policies, procedures, and mission,
and the rules, policies, procedures, and mission,
vision, and values
vision, and values
of the Poudre Fire Authority,
of the Poudre Fire Authority,
and to faithfully perform my duties to the best of my ability.
and to faithfully perform the duties
To the best of my ability.
to the best of my abilities.
I do also swear
I do also swear
that I will,
that I will,
at all times,
at all times,
promote safety as the highest priority,
promote safety as the highest priority,
and that I will work to maintain my own physical and mental fitness,
and I will work to maintain my own mental and physical fitness,
both on and off the job.
both on and off the job.
Congratulations.
Yeah. They can get your neck. That was painful.
Huh? Oh, I've heard it a few times. I'm really proud of you. You're going to do well. You've been doing a really good job. Keep it up. Congratulations. Thanks.
Is that it? Oh. Well, you can tell I wasn't nervous at all, so that's a good thing. I was talking to Chief Ponsel and Chief Gress before we got started, and I said, when does this nervous thing stop? Can I just start doing my job? Chief Ponsel says, well, you got to burn something big down first. It's like, so I got that to look forward to. How did you like the speech I wrote for Chief DeMint? That was pretty good, huh? I didn't write one for myself, but I just want to say thanks to a few people. I want to say thanks to all my family and friends that are here, specifically my parents for being here and giving me the integrity and the skills to not only be successful in life, but in this career. So, and then to the 4 cheerleaders in my house, my wife and 3 daughters, they've been awesome. Sticky notes and posters and anything you can imagine to support me through this. It's really been awesome, so thanks. And then I just want to say thanks for everybody that's here, the support I've had from firefighters and chiefs and just everybody's help. I want to thank Chief Levy, who's not here, he's on vacation in Florida, but for the last 5 months he's done a great job mentoring me, obviously, and helping me to be successful in this position, as well as all the other chiefs that have been great to deal with. I suspect that maybe Chief Ponsel will be celebrating as much as anybody here today. He's unfortunately been through more interviews than anybody on this department interviewing me, and it's been as painful for him as it has me, but we finally made it, Chief, and this is my last step, so he won't have to suffer through that again. Anyway, thanks for being here. I'm honored to be here, and I'm prepared to do the job, so thanks.
And now Doug and I would like to present flowers to our spouses and our families for what they go through. And it's amazing what families get to go through with those nights when you're not sleeping. And that's not the person I was talking about in the bunk next to you snoring, okay? That's the firehouse comedy there. So I'm bringing you guys something. That was a pretty good trick. I came up the stairs one leg at a time. It's just Jerry Horak's not here, is he? And it wasn't him either, was it? I'm helping on the clue game. I'll just leave it at that. There's only 2 left. And and Lisa said it wasn't Darren. So if you know your PFA board, you know who doesn't think I should be on ladders. Thank you again all for coming. My goal is to make and to continue to keep the Poudre Fire Authority as a fire department that you are proud of, because I know you all live in a community that you are very proud of, and you hold us all to a very high standard. My commitment to you is to maintain that high standard. Please be safe. Firefighters, have the courage to be safe. Remember, your responsibility is go home at the end of your shift. Thank you and have a good night.